Welcome to the today's class. So in the yesterday's class we have discussed about principles of metallurgy. So in that just we can recall whatever the topics we have discussed yesterday. Yeah, metallurgy. Metallurgy is a science which can deals with the extraction and purification of the metals from the minerals. So in this, the metallurgy is the most important thing because the metals are available in the earth crust and they were available for us in a combined state. That is nothing but, so these metals are associated with the earthy impurities as well as the chemical impurities. So if you want to extract the pure metal, means we have to remove these chemical impurities as well as the this physical impurities like earthy impurities. So how we can purify this? So that deals with the metallurgy. So in this, first if you want to know about the metallurgy, how the metals get purified, okay, before going into that we need to know the what were the physical and chemical properties of the metal. Then it is very easy to understand the purification and extraction process of the metals. So for that we have seen the physical and chemical properties of the metals. First, physical state. So almost all the metals are in a solid state except the mercury, it is in a liquid state. So then coming to the hardness. So metals are, almost all the metals are having the hard surfaces except potassium and sodium. They are having the soft in nature. They are soft in nature. And it can also density. So metals are having the high density. So then melting and boiling points. So metals are having high melting and boiling points except mercury. Mercury is having the low boiling point. Then malleability and ductility. So this malleability is nothing but the property of the metal which allows to make it into thin sheets, and ductility means make it into wires. So these are the special properties of the metal. So metals are showing so these malleability and ductility properties. So out of all the metal, the gold is having the highest malleability and ductility. So then after that, so metallic lustre. So this is also a specific property of the metals, which what lustre means, shiny surface, right? When we rough on the surface of these metals, so we can it can shows shiny surface. When we polish on the surface of these metals, it shows shiny surfaces. That's why these metals are used as the ornaments. Alright. So then next, tensile strength. Tensile strength means stress bearing capacity. Stress bearing capacity. So all the metals are having the high tensile strength. All metals are having the high tensile strength. So then coming to the thermal and electrical conductivity. So metals are the good conductors of thermal as well as the electrical conductivity. So because these metals are having the free electrons, so due to the movement of the electrons, so these metals will conduct the electricity, right? So then coming to the chemical properties of the metals. So the reaction with the dilute acids, so it shows the characteristic property, that is when it is reacting with the dilute acids, it releases hydrogen gas. So here the example has given that zinc is reacting with the hydrochloric acid and forms zinc chloride plus hydrogen gas is released. So this is a reaction representing the when the metal is reacting with the dilute acids. So the next, metals are acting as a reducing agents. So as we have discussed yesterday, So metals are always loves to be stay as the positive charge. That means it can gives electrons to the other substance. So other substance can be accept electrons. So now the addition of the electrons is nothing but reduction. So now here the metals are responsible for the reduction of the other substances. So that's why metals are called as the reducing agents. So these are the physical and chemical properties of the metals. So then coming to the differences between the metals and non-metals. So there were the many differences between metals and non-metals. So that we can list here. Just we can go through this. The first one, metals are solid in state except mercury. Non-metals are solids, liquids and gases. Metals are having hard surfaces. Non-metals are having soft surfaces. Then metals are having high melting and boiling points. Non-metals are having low melting and boiling points. Then next, metals are having high density. Non-metals are having low density. The next, metal shows malleability and ductility. Non-metals does not shows these properties. The next, metals are lustrous. They are having the shiny surfaces, whereas non-metals does not have luster. So then coming to the metals are having high tensile strength, whereas non-metals are having low tensile strength. Then non-metals are good conductors of thermal as well as electrical conductors. So then here non-metals are insulators, metals are the good conductors of electricity as well as the thermal. The next, metals are acting as the reducing agent, non-metals are acting as the oxidizing agent. So then metals are undergoing corrosion, non-metal does not undergo corrosion. So these are the differences between the metals and non-metals. Especially these differences are these may be the properties of the metals and non-metals. All right. So then next, terms used in the metallurgy. So in that we have defined the 6 terms. So yesterday just we can go through that. So metallurgy is a process of extraction and purification of the metal from the mineral is called as the metallurgy. So the next term is a mineral. So mineral is the impure form of the metal which is readily available in the earth crust is called as the minerals. So for a particular metal there are the many minerals were present. So for example, if you take the iron, iron is having the three minerals. Iron is having the three minerals in that hematite, magnetite and iron pyrites. Right, these are the three minerals for the iron. When you are coming to the aluminium, aluminium is having the two minerals. They are the bauxite and cryolite. Then coming to the next term, that is ore. Ore is a mineral from which we can extract the pure metal more efficiently with a low cost is called as the ore. Alright. So ore is one type of the, not only one type, ore is a mineral. So from which we can extract the pure metal more efficiently with a low cost is called as the ore. So the now hematite is a ore for the iron, whereas the iron is having the, even it is having three minerals, but out of three only hematite is the ore for the iron, because from the hematite we can extract the iron more efficiently with a low cost. That's why hematite is called as the ore for the iron. So then coming to the aluminium. So aluminium, bauxite is a ore for the aluminium. So as explained in the case of the iron, here also from the bauxite we can extract the aluminium more efficiently with a low cost. So that's why bauxite is the ore for the aluminium. Right. So now all ores are the minerals, but not all minerals are the ores. This was a statement conclude from the above concept. So then after that, gong or matrix. So because these minerals or ores are coming from the earth crust, so there may be the chance of the earthy impurities are associated with the ores. So that's why, so whatever the earthy impurities that are associated with the ore is called as the gong or matrix. So here what type of the earthy impurities are associated means generally rocks, sand, mud, clay, calcite, siderite, quartz, etc. So these are the earthy impurities that are associated with the ores. So that's why these are called as the gong or matrix. So then after that, the flux. Flux is a term. So here flux, what is the flux? So flux is a chemical substance which is added to the ore to remove the earthy impurities is called as the flux. See, these earthy impurities, we don't need this, but these are the stay along with the ore as a impurities. We have to remove these impurities. So how we can remove means by using some chemical, by the addition of the some chemical substances to the ore, we can remove this. So how we can remove means by the addition of the flux, right? So the flux is a chemical substance which is added to the mineral or ore to remove these earthy impurities is called as the flux. So generally this flux is two types. One is acidic flux and another one is the basic flux. So what is the acidic flux? So acidic flux is a chemical substance added to the ore to remove the basic impurities. If the ore is having any basic impurities, that can be removed by the addition of the acidic flux. For example, here the chemical equation has given that, so if the basic impurity like calcium oxide is there, so to remove this basic impurity we are adding the acidic flux, that is silica. So by the reaction between these two, it forms a calcium silicate, so which can be a fusible mass which can be easily separated. So then the ore is get purified, or it can be free from the earthy impurities. Next, another one, basic flux. So basic flux is the chemical substance added to the ore to remove the acidic impurities. Suppose if the ore is having the acidic impurities, so previously if the ore is having the basic impurities, we are adding acidic flux. So if the ore is having acidic impurities, we have to add a basic flux. Suppose here the chemical equation has given that, for example, if silica is there as a impurity, because the silica is a acidic impurity, to remove this silica we are adding calcium oxide which is acting as a basic flux. So now the reaction between this acidic impurity and a basic flux forms a again calcium silicate, so which can be easily filtered out, which can be separated. Alright, so the next last one is a slag. So slag is a a fusible mass formed by the reaction between the gong and flux is called as the slag. Right, see, gong is nothing but it is a earthy impurity. Flux is a chemical substance added to remove these earthy impurities. Whenever we are adding the chemical substance to this ore to remove the earthy impurities, so this chemical substance or flux goes and react with the earthy impurities, so that can form a fusible mass. That fusible mass is called as the slag. So this slag is formed as the glass like product left over after desired metal is separated. Just it can be separated from the our desired metal, so which is filtered off, then that material is called as the slag. Here slag is formed by the reaction between gong and flux. Right, so these are the few topics we were discussed yesterday class. So now next one is a concentration of the ore. Concentration of the ore. So what is the concentration of the ore? See, concentration is nothing but removal of the impurities present in the ore is called as the concentration of the ore or the purification of the ore. Right, so here there may be the chance of the earthy impurities as well as the chemical impurities. right? So we have removed the earthy impurities like by the addition of the flux. All right, so there are the several methods to concentrate these ores, but here what is the concentration of the ore means? Concentration of the ore is nothing but, so purification of the ores or the removal of the impurities from the ore is called as the concentration of the ore. So for the concentration of the ore, there were several methods were used to remove the earthy impurities as well as the chemical impurities, right? In that, the first one is the hand picking. Hand picking. Hand picking. See, hand picking is nothing but if the gong particles are bigger in size, if the impurities, earthy impurities are bigger in size, then we can just remove by with our fingers. We can remove by the hand picking. Simple. We can just separate it by the our hand, right? For example, stones, clay, sand, etc. are removed by hand picking method. So if these impurities are larger in size that are associated with the ore, then we can remove these gong particles by simple hand picking method. So then coming to the second one, that is gravity separation. So this method is suitable for heavy oxide like hematite, limestone, etc. impurities. So in this, the ore is crushed into a powder. Then the powdered ore is placed on sloping floor and washed by directing on it a strong current of water. The lighter sand, earthy impurities are removed while heavier ore particles are left behind. See here, you can see that one wheel fly table or a sloping table. So in that there was some ridges, right? So now first we are crushed this ore into a powder, and this is mixed with a water. So then we are pouring this mixture, water and this ore mixture, from the top of this wheel fly table or sloping table. So then what happens? That solution will be flowed from top to bottom. During the traveling of this mixture, so whatever the lighter particles that are sand or earthy impurities, right? So they will be ran with along with the water, and the heavier particles, metal particles, are having high density. So that's why they are heavier in weight. So they will be settled in between the ridges. So then this ore can be purified by using this gravity separation. So whatever the lighter particles, they will be washed away, and the heavier particles like metal particles, they will be settled in between the ridges. From there we can collect the metal particles. So that is called as the gravity separation. So this can be conducted on the wheel fly table. So here simple. So this method is simply used for the heavy oxides like hematite, that is a limestone, etc. So this is the process used for the separation of the earthy impurities. Then coming to the froth flotation method. So this is very important method, and which is very suitable method used to remove the sulfide impurities, sulfide ores. So this can be used to purify the sulfide ores, right? Next, so what is happening in this process? What is actually happening in this process is, so this method principle is based on the wetting capacity of the impurities as well as the metal particles, right? Here the two layers were taken, that is a heterogeneous system is made with water and oil, all right? Water and oil. By taking the heterogeneous system of the water and oil, here you can see in the figure. So one layer is a water layer, and another layer is a oil layer, because the water is having the high density, it always occupies the down layer and the oil is floating on the water, right? So upper layer is the oil layer, down layer is the water layer. Now when we are adding the ore particles to this, so here the principle is based on that the metal particles are wetted by the oil and the impurities are wetted by the water. So this is the principle based in froth flotation method, right? So now what we are doing, the process involves that, so the ore crushed into a powder and it is mixed with a water and oil. So that powder is thrown into this mixture, water and oil mixture, and we are passing the air through the inlet. Due to that, what happens, so there is a creation of the bubbles. So then after that, so by the continuous passage of this oil, this air, so that mixture is vigorously stirred, and the foam is generated while stirring of the oil by the air. Then the ore particles are stick to the foam and rise to the surface, and the heavier particles are be settled in the bottom, shown in the figure 1. So the froth is removed, collected in another chamber and allowed to subside to get concentrated ore. So this is the principle used in this froth flotation method. So simply by taking the heterogeneous system of the water and oil, and to this we are adding this ore, and by the stirring of this mixture continuously, what happens, so the two layers will be mixed uniformly. So now whatever the metal particles are there, so they will be stick to the froth or the froth bubbles. So this metal particles are stick to the froth bubbles, and whatever the heavier particles, that are the gong particles or earthy impurities, they will be stay in the water layer only. So after some time we are allowed to stand this mixture for some time. So all the froth particles they will be come to the upper layer, and the whatever the heavier particles, they will be comes in the water layer. So whatever the metal particles are there, so they will be comes into the oil layer. So now this entire froth is collected into another chamber and it is allowed to subside for some time. So then after that we can get the concentrated ore. Here this method is based on the wetting capacity of the impurities as well as the metal particle. So simple here, the metal particles are wetted by the oil layer, and impurities are wetted by the water layer. That's why by taking these two layers, and by the mixing these ore particles in this heterogeneous system, so by the continuous stirring, so there is a mixture of the two layers, and there is also the separation of the impurities as well as the metal particle. So by this uniform mixing, what happens, whatever the metal particles are there in the ore, they can be stick to the froth particles, and whatever the impurities are there in the ore, they will be settled in the water layer only, and they will settle in the bottom of this vessel. So after that, so that metal particles associated with the froth bubbles, they will be collected in the another chamber. So by that, so the ore is concentrated. So this is called as the froth flotation method. Next, extraction of the crude metals. So right, in that there is a three methods were used. They are roasting, calcination, smelting. So what is the roasting? Roasting is a process of heating of the ore below its melting point in excess air is called as the roasting. Roasting is a process of the heating of the ore in presence of the air below its melting point is called as the roasting. Usually this method is used to purify the sulfide ores. In this process, sulfides are converted into sulfur dioxides. For example, zinc blend, that is Zn zinc sulfide. So this zinc sulfide is the ore for the zinc. So now, so this is heating in presence of the air, or it is heating in excess of the air. Below its melting point, what happens? So this sulfur is converted into sulfur dioxide, and this zinc is converted to zinc oxide. So 2 moles of the zinc sulfide is reacting with the 3 moles of the oxygen. So upon roasting, it forms 2 moles of the zinc oxide plus 2 moles of the sulfur dioxide. So same like so lead sulfide. So right, lead sulfide is a ore for the lead. So now this lead sulfide is heated in presence of the excess air. So then it forms lead oxide plus 2 moles of the sulfur dioxide. So as we said, so whatever the sulfide ores of the zinc and the lead, these sulfide ores in this sulfur is converted into sulfur dioxide, and which can be removed from this metal as a sulfur dioxide gas. Okay, so then after that, calcination. What is mean by calcination? See, calcination is nothing but, so it is a heating of the ore below its melting point in absence of the air is called as the calcination, right? So heating of the ore below its melting point in absence of the air is called as the calcination. So this method is usually used for the carbonate ores. So in this process, this carbonate can be converted into carbon dioxide. Okay. Here the example has given zinc carbonate and calcium carbonate. So this zinc carbonate, upon calcination, heating in absence of the air, it can convert it into zinc oxide and carbon dioxide. So this carbon dioxide, it can be easily removed because it's a gas. So then calcium carbonate. So this calcium carbonate, upon calcination, again it can be converted into calcium oxide plus carbon dioxide. So like this, so these carbonates ores are converted into carbon dioxide, and moisture also removed in this process. Right here, if the any moisture is there along with the ore particles, it is high temperature we are heating here. So during this, so there is a evaporation of the moisture is also taking place in this process. So the next, coming to the smelting process. So this is the method is used to purify the the crude metal that is extracting from the above two method, that is roasting and calcination. So by using the smelting process, we can get the pure metal from this smelting process. Alright, so here what is smelting? Heating of the roasted or calcined ore with reducing agent and flux. Here smelting is the process, it is nothing but heating of the ore obtaining from the roasting and calcination with a reducing agent and a flux is called as the smelting. See here, in the roasting process, we can get from the zinc sulfide we got zinc oxide, from lead sulfide we got lead oxide, from zinc carbonate, calcium carbonate we got the zinc oxide and calcium oxides, right? We need a pure metal, but from this roasting and calcination we are getting the oxides, so we have to remove these oxides. So then how we can remove these oxides means by the reduction process we can remove the oxygen, you know. So what is the definition for the oxidation? Removal of the oxygen is called as the reduction. Removal of the oxygen is called as the reduction. So here reduction is done by the reducing agents. This reduction process is done by the reducing agents. So by that we can remove these oxides. Here the equation is given that ferric oxide
ferric oxide in presence of the 3 moles of the carbon monoxide, upon heating it forms a 2 moles of the iron and 3 moles of the carbon dioxide. So here you can see, here we got the pure metal, that is iron. Alright, yeah. So we have seen the extraction of the crude metals. So first we have removed the physical impurities like earthy impurities by using hand picking method, gravity separation and froth flotation method. So these methods are useful to remove the earthy impurities: hand picking, gravity separation and froth flotation. Along with these three, there are the several methods were used for the removal of these earthy impurities, but we have these three methods in our syllabus. Alright, so then after that, for the removal of the chemical impurities, so these methods, roasting, calcination and smeltings were used. So finally, from the smelting process we can get the pure metal. So right, what is the roasting? Roasting is the process of the heating of the ore below its melting point in presence of the air. In presence of the excess air is called as the roasting. From this roasting, that sulfide ores are converted into sulfur dioxides and the metal is converted into metal oxides. And in the calcination process, the heating of the ore below its melting point in absence of the air is called as the calcination. In this calcination also the metal is converted into metal oxide and the carbonates are converted to carbon dioxide. So now in these two, both processes the metal is converted to metal oxides. But if we need a pure metal, elemental metal, so we don't need these metal oxides. Now we have to remove these oxygens. So how we can remove these oxygens means, so by the reduction process we can remove this oxygen. So by the addition of the reducing agent, this reducing agent can initiate the reduction process. So by the addition of this reducing agent we can remove the oxygen molecules from the metals. So then we can get the pure metal. So how we can remove these oxygen molecules means, so by the smelting process. So we are heating these metal oxides which are obtaining from the roasting and calcination. These are heating with a reducing agent and flux. So by that, so we can get the pure metal. Like here, Fe2O3 is reacting with the carbon monoxide gives a pure iron plus carbon dioxide which can be escaped from it. So then after that, yeah, another purification process we have already discussed in the case of the electrochemistry in the first semester. So that is electrolytic refining of the copper. How we can purify the metal? See, by the electrolysis process we can purify the metal. So in that what, so a thick impure metal block is taken as the anode and a thin pure metal sheet is taken as a cathode, and these two electrodes are dipped in the suitable electrolytic solution. That is nothing but, if you have taken a copper, you have to take copper sulfate. If you have taken zinc, you have to take a zinc sulfate, right? So like that. So these two electrodes were dipped in a suitable electrolytic solution. So by the passage of the electricity, a pure metal is coated on the surface of the cathode, and the impurities are left in the solution and they are settled in the bottom of the anode, which is called as the anode mud. So this is the process is taking place in the electrolytic refining of the metal. So for example, we have seen already in the first semester electrolytic refining of the copper. We are taking a thick impure copper black is taken as the anode and a thin pure copper rod is taken as a cathode. So these two electrodes are dipped in the copper sulfate electrolytic solution. So now by the passage of the electricity, what happens? So now whatever the copper ions are there in the impure copper black, So they get dissolved into this copper sulfate electrolytic solution and goes and coated on the surface of this cathode. So like this, whatever the pure coppers are there in the impure copper black, so the total copper atoms or copper ions are goes to the coated on the surface of this cathode by undergoing reduction. So now whatever the impurities are there, they were left over there, and they will be settled in the cell as the anode mud. So this is the process taking place in the electrolytic refining of the metal. Here you can see this this is pictorial representation of the electrolytic refining of the copper. Here a thick impure copper metal is taken as the anode, and a pure metal is taken as the cathode. Now these two were dipped in the copper sulfate solution. So now by the passage of the electricity, what happens? So see this, here you can see clearly. So whatever the copper ions are there in the impure copper anode, so they goes and coated on the surface of the pure copper cathode, and whatever the impurities are associated with this ore, that is a copper rod, so they will be settled as the anode mud in the bottom of this electrolytic cell. So this is the process of the electrolytic refining of the metals. So in that we have seen electrolytic refining of the copper. Okay, so then so today we have discussed about concentration of the ore. In that, what is the concentration of the ore? Concentration of the ore is nothing but a removal of the impurities from the ore is called as the concentration of the ore. So there are the several methods used to concentrate the ore. So in that, some methods we are discussed below. So first one is the hand picking method. So if the earthy impurities are larger in size, that we can remove by these these earthy impurities by the simple hand picking method. For example, stones, clay, sand, etc. So these were removed by the hand picking method. So then coming to the second one, that is a gravity separation. So this method is used for the heavy oxides like hematite, limestone, etc. So in this, the ore is crushed into a powder. Then the powdered ore is placed on sloping floor or wheel fly table and washed by directly on the strong current of the water. Then the lighter sand earthy impurities are the removed, while heavier ore particles are left behind, or simply they will be settled in between the ridges, and whatever the light particles are there, they will be washed along with the flow of the water. So the next third one is the froth flotation method. So this is the method especially used for the purification of the sulfide ores. So like zinc blend and copper pyrites. So these two are the sulfide ores of the zinc and copper respectively. So in this process, so this process based on the sulfide ores are only wetted by the oils. Because why this froth flotation method is useful for sulfide ores means these sulfide ores are wetted by the oil. That's why. So here we are taking the two-layered solution, that is heterogeneous system. In that, water and oil, they are forming a one heterogeneous system. So water is occupying the down layer and oil is occupying the upper layer. So in this, if you are adding the sulfide ores, so now the sulfide ores, whatever the sulfide ores are there, they will be wetted by this oil, and the earthy impurities that are wetted by the water. So based on this principle, this process was constructed. So now, whereas the oxide and gong particles are wetted by the water. So in this process, powdered ore is mixed with the water and pine oil. Powdered ore is mixed with the water and pine oil. So here pine oil is a foaming agent, and the mixture is vigorously stirred with the compressed air. a foam is generated during this stirring process, and the foam generated while stirring of oil by the air, then the ore particles are stick to the foam and rise to the surface, and the heavier particles are settled in the bottom as shown in the figure. So the froth is removed and collected in the other chamber, and it is allowed to subside to get the concentrated ore. Here simple. So by the passage of this compressed air to this mixture, so there is a formation of the froth. So by the vigorous stirring, so whatever the ore particles are there, they will be stick to the foam, then they will be raised to the oil layer, and whatever the heavier particles, they will be remains in the water layer. By that, these impurities and the ore particles will be separated by this froth flotation method, and this is the figure which is showing the froth flotation process. So the next extraction of the crude metals. So this extraction is done by the three stages, so three methods, that is roasting, calcination, and smelting. So roasting is a process of heating of the ore below its melting point in presence of the air is called as the roasting. So this method is especially used for the sulfide ores. So in this, the metal is converted into metal oxides and sulfurs are converted into sulfur dioxides. So like for examples here, zinc sulfide is heated in presence of the air, so that zinc is converted to zinc oxide and sulfur is converted to sulfur dioxide. And again here lead sulfide is heated in presence of the air, it is converted into lead oxide plus sulfur dioxide. So here metals we get, so that is available in the form of the metal oxides. Even this is not a pure because it is having the oxygen along with the metal. We have to remove this oxygen also. So that how we can remove that, we can see later. Right now, coming to the calcination process. This calcination process is nothing but heating of the ore below its melting point in absence of the air is called as the calcination. So in this method, it is usually this method is used for the purification of the carbonate ores, because here in this process the metal is converted to metal oxide and carbonate is converted to carbon dioxide. Even in this method, if there is any moisture associated with the ore, that can be removed, because in this calcination process very high temperatures we were used. By that, so whatever the moisture that is there, that can be removed. So next, so the oxide ores that are obtained from these two, that is roasting and calcination, they can be purified by the, or they can be purified, or the oxygens which are oxide ores or something, metal oxides that are formed in the above two process. The metal oxides formed in the above two process, they get purified by using this melting process. So by the heating of these metal oxides with a reducing agent and flux, so then finally we get the pure metal. So this is called as the smelting process, smelting method. So then after that, we have seen electrolytic refining of the metals. So that is this electrolytic refining is nothing but, so the metals are purified by using the electrolysis process. In this electrolysis process, the impure metal rod is taken as the anode, a pure metal is taken as the cathode. So now, by taking these impure metal rod and a pure metal rod as a two electrodes, and they were dipped in the suitable electrolytic solution. So then by the passage of the electricity through this electrolytic solution, so whatever the pure metal or whatever the metal that is present in the impure metal black, that goes and coated on the surface of the pure metal. So by that, this metal is get purified, and whatever the impurities are there, they will be settled in the bottom of the vessel. So this is the electrolytic refining of the metals. So this method, for example, here we have seen, so this copper. So here impure copper rod is taken as the anode and pure copper rod is taken as the cathode. So both were dipped in the copper sulfate electrolytic solution. By the passage of the electricity through this, so whatever the copper ions present in the impure copper rod, they goes and coated on the surface of this pure copper cathode. So then whatever the impurities are there, they will be settled in the bottom as the anode mud. So this is the electrolytic refining process of the copper. So by this, so today I am ending today's session, and whatever the remaining topics that we will see in the next class. Thank you.